Hello everyone and welcome to another video update. I'm just going to take you through our current portfolio and the changes that I've made, my plans on how I'm going to be adjusting the portfolio in the near future, and just some general thoughts on the market and what's to come and how I plan on best dealing with it. So if we take a look at our portfolio here, our main positions really remain unchanged. So we have Bitcoin, ETH, and Sol. And off the back of what I was discussing in the most recent posts, I now have a main or heavier focus on crypto. So I've added some more crypto positions here too. Very selectively, but it's important just to go through those as well. So I've added some Binance coin here, which is something we didn't have before. This again is in the top coins by market cap, although it doesn't get as much attention. I guess it's not as interesting, you could say, but it does tend to perform very, very well in bull markets. So nice to diversify away from these top three a bit and have something that could perform well, but sometimes on a different time frame. So Binance coin usually tends to have, I would say, a kind of quicker explosion where it performs really, really well, but for a shorter period of time, I think. So it's nice to have things that don't perform all exactly in the same way, just to keep that correlation down a little bit. Then I've added a very interesting one is Ondo Finance, which seems not that many people have heard of, but what they're doing is really, really interesting. And we're already up 45% on that I think I just opened it a few weeks ago, actually. Beginning of the month. So you can, if you're interested, you can go into way more depth on their website, but they're basically bringing traditional finance and institutional finance onto the blockchain, kind of merging those two worlds that have been a bit separate until now. So you can go into their docs here in huge detail if you're interested. And to give you an example here of something cool that they're doing is USDY. So this is basically a token, right? A crypto token that is backed by US treasuries. So, say that you only want to be exposed to crypto, but you would also like the, I don't know, anonymity of crypto, or the fact that you can maintain control, or maybe you're in a country where it's difficult to get access to US treasuries or something along those lines. It's very, very cool that you can get access to that kind of institutional institutional grade finance from a more from a crypto point of view, right? Like traditionally there hasn't been that much overlap between these things. So the people that are trading crypto or interested in crypto just have exposure to Bitcoin or other crypto native assets. So being able to seeing the tokenization of traditional financial assets is really cool. And I'm looking forward to the days where you'll be able to have other things like stocks just, on the blockchain. That would be very, very cool. And they're making a big dent in that. So it's going to be a huge market, and I think it's worth paying attention to. So that's Ondo Finance, and you can find their docs here at docs.ondo.finance if that's something you're interested in learning more about. And then I also added a smaller position in Jito, which I might increase. Jito is kind of, again, part of the Solana ecosystem, but they're really at the heart of Solana liquid staking. Really, really cool what they're doing. And yeah, I think it's gonna continue to perform well. So these are the kind of positions where they're way more volatile. You know, if we look at the charts of those two that I've just mentioned, so you can see Ondo, we went from, you know, not even 90 cents to 120 very, very quickly, right? Same with Jito. You can see it's quite volatile. So the majors here, Bitcoin, ETH, and Sol, are volatile as well, but to a different degree. So it's good to kind of keep the position size of these under control. So I might increase them gradually, but just got to always keep an eye on risk. So that's our crypto positions at the moment, and we can have a look at how this increase in crypto has impacted our various stats. So in terms of performance, you know, April was quite a drawdown. May has basically completely offset that. So we're now up 44% for the year. As I'd expected, risk has ticked up a bit. So we now have had, even though our average risk has stayed at a 5, we hit a max risk of 6 at one point, and 7 is the highest that I can go, and ideally I would like to keep it at 6. And we'll go into some other ways that I'm going to be trying to do that soon. Here we can get a slightly different perspective as well. You can see our exposure here is 86% crypto, so very, very crypto heavy. And the other 13.8% is stocks. Again, you can see the risk and so on. And this little information box here actually brings up an interesting point, which is what I wanted to discuss. So these are the assets least correlated with the current portfolio. Now, the reason this is interesting is because as the focus is crypto now, the stock part of our portfolio becomes less and less, not less important, but less about performance, because I expect the majority of the gains to come from crypto. So the stocks, sure, we want to invest in stocks that are going to perform, of course, but they also are now performing another function which is equally important, which is that of balancing out the risk. So if we have stocks that are also very, very volatile, the volatility and risk of the whole portfolio is going to continue to increase. Whereas if we can have some stocks that are not correlated or even inversely correlated to crypto, that's going to bring the risk of the whole portfolio down. And that's what I'm going to be trying to do. Because all things considered, Bitcoin, ETH, they haven't been that volatile when you compare this to what like a bull run is going to look like. So if we do soon see the market heat up in crypto land, which is what I expect, volatility is going to increase, eToro risk is going to increase. So we might move up to a risk level of 7, which would be okay, but we definitely don't want to go any higher than that. Can't go any higher than that. So we want to be anticipating that and trying to tone the risk down by having either stocks that are inversely correlated to crypto, or even other asset classes. So that's something that I'm going to be thinking about, whether that be some commodities or even some fixed income, just something to make the portfolio more balanced. So today you might have seen I've closed our Palantir position, as that was one that wasn't performing that well, was also quite volatile, so it wasn't really doing well on either of those metrics. And I think soon I might also close potentially CrowdStrike and Uber, and just generally kind of consolidate this into fewer positions that more clearly achieve that objective that I was just talking about. So if we have a look at what's been going on. Bitcoin is really at an interesting point where we are right near all-time highs, but it's kind of going sideways. So this is usually, in my experience, a sign of consolidation before usually an aggressive move, and that would line up with the stock to flow model, cycle timing, all these other things. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Bitcoin really moving soon, but so far it's been relatively calm. Some interesting news that we've had is the approval of the ETH ETF, which I think was quite a surprise to many. I think the likelihood of this getting approved was way, way lower than the Bitcoin one. So there's an interesting kind of narrative now where I don't think this was just about the ETH ETF, but it sort of feels like there's a broader acceptance of crypto now, and that things might just continue to now flow more seamlessly. So I wouldn't be surprised if we now see talk of a Solana ETF, and maybe that getting approved very quickly. You know, we've kind of passed that hurdle. Bitcoin was the big one, and now that ETH passed too, it just seems like the floodgates have opened. But that's still to be seen, and you can see that as well by the reaction here. Right, this day was the day when it got approved, or at least seemed very likely that it was going to be approved. I can't remember exactly what day it was, but the huge move shows that it was a surprise, right? It wasn't priced in. People weren't really expecting it, and so that's great. It's really great for crypto. Solana is looking sort of similar to Bitcoin. Maybe you can kind of recognize the similar shape. You know, this run up for a few months, bit of a dip to shake out any leverage, and now just consolidating. And again, my expectation would be to see all of these really starting to move in tandem as things kick into gear after the halving. But we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, I hope this has been useful. As always, leave me any questions in the comments. If anyone doesn't have the time to listen to this, I will have also written a short summary. And yeah, so just a reminder that I will be likely changing a few of these positions, these stock positions in the very near future. And I think that's about it for today. So I will speak to you again soon, and take care.